It was supposed to be just another 4th of July cookout on my lakefront burgers on the grill, kids laughing, my best friend manning the tongs until the HOA president stormed onto my lawn and ordered my guests off the water. She claimed half my property now belonged to the association because the shoreline had moved. The only thing that moved that day was the smile sliding off her face when I told her flat out, "This is my private land." I didn't know it then, but that moment was just the spark. What followed was a months-long fight that nearly broke me and ended with her empire collapsing in front of the very people she thought she controlled. My name's Caleb Morgan. This lake isn't just a house with a dock, it's my family's story written in water and stone. My grandpa taught me how to walk the rocky shoreline without slipping, how to hear the lake talk if you stand still long enough. He left me this place along with one piece of advice I never forgot. People will always try to take what is beautiful. I brushed that off when I was young. Now standing on my grass with Karen Lawson's clipboard waving in my face, it came rushing back like a warning. She arrived dressed like she owned the air. We breathed. Crisp polo shirt, tight, little smile finger, jabbing like she was calling fouls at a game, only she knew the rules to. "Your boundary has shifted," she announced, not even pretending it was a discussion. I sipped my water, kept my voice calm. "Karen, happy 4th. There's nothing to talk about. The line is where it's been for 80 years. She tapped that pen against her board like a woodpecker on metal. "Wrong. Due to erosion, the shoreline has moved inland. This table, your dock, even part of your lawn community space now." She turned toward my guests. "Kayaks to shore, coolers off the grass, compliance check commencing." Kids froze mid-laugh. Nate, my ex-Marine buddy, set down the tongs. Even old Evan, my grandpa's surveyor friend, stopped mid-story and stared. I told her to step away from my guests. She smirked, heel grinding into my grass. "Names, addresses, citations will be issued," Nate said calmly. "Step back to the trail." She shot back. "Or what?" I just looked at her and said, "Or you're trespassing, and I'll document every second." I knew water law. I knew the difference between accretion and avulsion. What she was claiming was nonsense, a fantasy pulled from some internet forum. But her power didn't come from truth, it came from intimidation. She marched off with a friendly warning that sounded more like a rattlesnake buzz before the strike. And I knew it, this was only her opening move. The next morning the holiday haze was gone. I walked the trail with my coffee like I always do and felt it before I saw it. Nails. Roofing nails, dozens of them, scattered across the path, points up. Not dropped, placed. 50 tiny blades of malice waiting for bare feet or a dog's paw. I swept them up with a magnet, filmed the whole thing, bagged them for evidence. At the dock, the stink hit me. Bleach. Someone had doused the boards, stripped the stain, left them slick as ice. The runoff swirled milky in the water. A direct message: we can touch your boat, your water. And then I heard it buzzing above the cove, a drone hovering its camera, blinking red, watching me. That's when the bottom dropped out of my stomach. This wasn't a warning anymore. This was an attack. And for the first time I doubted myself. Sitting on the porch that night, looking at the pile of nails, the streaked dock I thought about selling, about walking away. My wife deserved peace. My little girl asked why the lady hated us. Maybe I was the problem. Maybe I should just bend before things got worse. I almost believed it. Then Evan came back, eyes sharp, pointing at the shiny new survey pin hammered near the waterline. "That's a fraud," he said flatly. "No license number. Soil's too loose, driven in last night." Donna Ruiz, the county game warden, showed up, shook her head at the bleach-bagged samples and told me straight, "This isn't neighborhood politics anymore, Caleb. This is criminal." And something in me snapped back into place. My grandpa's words, my own stubborn core. I wasn't crazy, and I wasn't alone. So we set a trap. Nate, with his soldier's patience, helped me rig trail cams and find the perfect blind. Evan set up a plan to prove the fraud. Dana, bound by her badge, couldn't join us, but she promised she'd be nearby when the call came. That night we hid in the rhododendrons' night vision goggles, glowing green radios whispering in our ears. Hours of silence broken finally by Evan's crackle movement. A man bumbled down the trail, clumsy in the dark. "Rob Hale." The HOA handyman. Karen's fixer. He knelt by the fake pin, pulled out string spray paint, a hammer. He was here to make her lie real, to draw a bright yellow scar across my property. He tied off the string, started toward the dock. Nate touched my arm. Wait. Let him commit. I clenched my fists, but nodded. At the dock, Rob raised his hammer. That was it. We moved. We walked out of the shadows silent until I spoke. That's far enough, Rob. He jumped like he'd seen a ghost. Karen said. Quick in, quick out, he stammered. He swung the hammer, wild panic pouring out of him. Wrong move. Nate flowed forward, wrist lock hammer clattering to the boards. Rob pinned in 3 seconds flat. I dialed 911, calm and clear. Deputies cuffed him soon after while I laid his tools, the hammer, the string, the paint on the table like trophies. Evidence. Proof. But the fight wasn't won yet. Proof is useless if it stays in the dark. So 2 days later, I walked into the HOA board meeting with a projector under my arm. Karen sat smug at the head, flanked by her yes men. Next, Mr. Morgan, concerns about community greenbelt, she sneered. I smiled back. Not concerns, Karen. Facts. I showed the room photos, nails scattered on my trail, bleach stains on my dock, the shiny fake pin. Murmurs rose. Karen tried to cut in baseless accusations, but then I rolled the video. Grainy night vision of Rob tying that string hammer, swinging, Nate disarming him like it was nothing. Gasps, shouts. One man stood up. That's my handyman, Karen. You said he was marking trees for beetles. The room turned on her, and then I dropped the hammer. She couldn't dodge her own emails. Printed, highlighted subject line, Boundary Project, instructing Rob to plant the pin, run the line file invoices to the HOA. Every word hers, every lie exposed. The board froze. The residents erupted. Karen's mask, cracked panic, flickered in her eyes. She tried to yank the HDMI cord, but Nate pinned it with his boot. I read her final email out loud. We need to discredit him. The silence afterward was heavier than stone. I looked right at her. This isn't a boundary dispute, Karen. This is fraud, and the sheriff already has every file. That was it. Her empire, built on bluster and fear, crumbled in a single night. Deputies raided her home, seized her computer. The handyman sang like a bird. The board voted her out on the spot, desperate to save themselves. At court, the judge laid it bare. For a few feet of shoreline, you orchestrated harassment, vandalism, and fraud. Do you take this court for a fool? The summary judgment slammed down the true line, fixed forever in black and white. Damages awarded. Criminal charges filed. Karen Lawson left with nothing but the wreckage of her arrogance. And me, I didn't cheer. I didn't celebrate. I just watched her face as the gavel fell the moment she realized it was over. That's where my story ends, at the exact point her power shattered. Because here's the truth. I carried out of that courthouse, bullies don't win when you fight them with anger. They win when you give up. The only way to beat them is with proof, cold, undeniable, relentless proof. And once you have it, you hold the line, always.